vsauce, Kevin here, and one of the most exciting things in pop culture is murderous in real life. It's so deadly that in a 35-year span, police killed more than 3 times as many as died in battle in the American Revolution and over 6 times the number of Americans killed in the entire 20 years of war in Afghanistan, and it's almost entirely easily preventable. It's bad for us, but the data shows it's actually horrible for cops too, and a source on the inside told me it's even worse than the public knows. It's ridiculously simple to stop. We know exactly how to do it, and no one cares. The Grand Theft Auto franchise has sold nearly 400 million copies worldwide, and some of the best parts of the open-world crime game are the police chases. You catch a cop's attention, not in a good way, and try to get away. It's a really simple concept that hasn't changed in the 100-plus years since the St. Louis Skadoodle cops went on a 25-mile-per-hour high-speed chase over a speeding violation. One cop was thrown from his vehicle, and another skidded and hit a tree. The low speeds and the name Skadoodle are old-timey and comical, but this is exactly how it still happens. A USA Today examination of high-speed chases revealed that about 1/3 of pursuits result in a crash. And culturally, we think this is awesome. It's an exciting, high-stakes spectacle for those who aren't actually involved. The 8th most successful film franchise of all time is about car chases. We've spent over $6 billion watching Fast and Furious movies. Steve McQueen's Bullet and Popeye Doyle in The French Connection gave us the greatest police chases in film history. 20 years later, the T-1000 is dressed as a cop and chasing Arnold and the future savior of the human race through the flood channels of Los Angeles. And in 1994, the entire world jumped beyond fiction to watch by the second as O.J. Simpson fled the LAPD in a white Bronco. And every time there's a car chase today, 1.5 million people watch along with Charlie. But the math proves that police chases should almost never happen, and no one seems to care. Here's the data on how police chases start and how they end. A USA Today analysis of 17,000 police-involved chases showed that 62% started as something we'd categorize as a traffic offense, about half of those being speeding, DUI, and reckless driving, and the rest being miscellaneous violations. The chase happens over what's usually going to be a fine. Around 1/5 were responses to non-violent felonies like car theft and burglary, and about 1/10 to misdemeanors. Only 8% of car chases were in pursuit of violent felons, and that was mostly robbery and assault. They aren't going 70 in a school zone to catch serial killers. So police chases generally seem to start for reasons that are not life or death, but they end with a lot of death. Between 1979 and 2013, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that there were 11,506 car chase-related deaths in the United States. More than half of those were suspects, 6,301. But over 5,000 of them were passengers or completely innocent bystanders who were just crossing the wrong street or the wrong sidewalk at the wrong time, or just happened to be driving in the vicinity of the chase. Those numbers seem bad, but remember, it's always worse than you think. A 2015 investigation concluded that the number of car chase fatalities is massively undercounted, and it could actually be over 15,000. That's about a 50% increase. Real quick, this video is sponsored by Wondrium, the premier place to watch high-level educational content like meaning from data, statistics made clear. This is exactly how I analyze and think of the world, and it's expertly taught by Professor Michael Starbird. And he has a great quote in his Statistics Everywhere lecture
that's critical to understanding what you like about my videos.
He says we need to understand the mathematical and probabilistic logic behind the statistical techniques. If we do, we can be very clear about what the particular statistical test or statistical statement means, and also what it does not mean. And this is just one of a constantly evolving catalog of Wondrium content across a wide range of disciplines that you can enjoy anywhere. TV, phone, computer, tablet, or just download and listen like a podcast.
So click the link in the description or go to wondrium.com/vsauce2 and get your free trial right now. A free trial of high-level learning and entertainment. What's better than that? Nothing.
I spoke with an anonymous source who was involved in examining police chases at the state level. He pointed out that there's usually no mechanism to report the police pursuits that resolve without incident, meaning that we've got a whole lot more car chases than the data shows. He estimated that over 90% of police pursuits are initiated by a minor traffic violation. Data from California suggests he's right. They found 89% of 63,500 police chases started over something that wasn't a really big deal, and 90 of those started because a driver was going too slow. Too slow! Seriously, it's always worse than they tell us. Let's think about the trade-off. Nearly as many innocent people are injured in car pursuits as suspects, and the vast majority of those suspects are about to be ticketed or arrested for a crime that doesn't present a clear, immediate danger to the community. And does it make any logical sense that the authorities' response to driving recklessly is to drive way more recklessly and dangerously to stop the reckless driver? And it's honestly not just about endangering fleeing suspects and innocent bystanders. No one realizes how bad car chases are for the cops themselves. That huge study also revealed that 139 cops died in chases, because being the pursuer is extremely dangerous. Between 2011 and 2020, car crashes, many the result of police chases, were one of the leading causes of death of policemen, ranking only behind shootings and job-related illnesses, making up about 18% of all deaths for cops in the line of duty. But here's the crazy part. Suspects are not held responsible for what happens to the cops. If you're harmed and it's someone else's fault, that's a tort, and civil law makes them liable for damages to you and your life. Ambulance chasers like Slippin' Jimmy make a living off of this. But cops can't do anything about it if they're hurt in a car chase. They're generally subject to what's called the fireman's rule. It's a restriction on the ability of public safety employees to collect damages on torts in the line of duty even when a criminal is willingly at fault. So, like if a fireman runs into a burning building to save a child and comes out looking like Fire Marshal Bill, the arsonist who set the fire can't be held responsible for damages to their quality of life. It's just part of the job. Some states like California and Pennsylvania have deviated from the fireman's rule, but it's a major consideration if you're a cop and about to engage in a car pursuit. You might get catastrophically injured chasing a busted taillight. There's no recourse and there's no way out other than hitting the brakes. The British Medical Journal concluded the same thing. In a 2004 examination published in BMJ's Injury Prevention, 2,654 fatal crashes involving 3,965 vehicles resulted in 3,146 deaths, and 1,088 of the dead weren't even in the fleeing vehicle. A pattern emerged. Crashes were high speed, usually at night and on local roads, and most drivers had prior driving-related convictions. Okay, so what? So what? That means they're already in the system. The cops know who they are, where they live, and what vehicles they drive. Isn't there a better way to apprehend them than a chase? Or at least one that doesn't kill so many innocent people? And that's the solution. The solution that's so obvious and no one seems to care about. It's like the Whopper computer says in war games.
The only winning move is not to play.
Every bit of data we have on car chases suggests that the trade-off we make, the desire to mete out justice in real time, isn't worth the horrible consequences for innocent people, cops, and even the suspects themselves. The National Institute of Justice's restrictive policies for high-speed police pursuits document admits that vehicle pursuits are possibly the most dangerous of all ordinary police activities, and that far more police vehicle chases occur each year than police shootings. In 2015, the International Association of Chiefs of Police presented a model policy that started with a basic suggestion. Only start a vehicle pursuit if the fleeing suspect presents a danger to human life, and skip pursuits for minor violations. And the IACP also detailed a range of factors from road configuration to lighting and visibility that officers should consider to determine whether a chase would result in a greater hazard to the community than finding other ways to nab the bad guy. If it really is a GTA scene with a souped-up Camaro and a dude with a machine gun in the passenger seat, then yeah, you should probably rein them in. But that's an exception so rare that Rockstar needed 1,000 people and years to develop a simulated version of it. The blame really begins when the cop car's lights flash and a driver chooses to slam on the gas to escape consequences. The police are generally just doing their job, but until humans miraculously abide by all laws, willingly comply with law enforcement, and don't freak out and make really terrible decisions, it's simply on the police to not make a bad situation a lot worse. Some police departments have quietly restricted police chases, but with a nationwide increase in traffic crimes, the pendulum is swinging back to the chase. And hey, some mind-blow-worthy tech is being employed too, and it really needs to work because we're destroying lives. 75-year-old Dorothy Wright and her 2 grandchildren were killed when an unarmed car thief crashed into them as he was chased by cops just south of Atlanta. The suspect literally walked away without being arrested, and the police didn't catch him for another 6 years. Dorothy and her grandchildren were just on their way to church. We are culturally, politically, and often personally obsessed with complex societal problems that are a tangled web of trade-offs, incentives, hidden costs, and intractable human behavior. The harder it is to solve, the more we seem to be consumed by it. Yet, here's an obvious problem with an extremely simple solution that benefits everyone, and no one cares. What does that say about us? And as always, thanks for watching.